we have this one guy, his name is Stephen A. Smith. He plays the angry black man on TV. The angry black man stereotype is basically you're loud, you talk over people. What you say is not necessarily important, it's more how loud you are and how you deliver your speech. He does that pretty well. I think the higher-ups at ESPN and Disney see that. He's like this angry black man. He goes on Fox News probably like once a week. And he'll talk about like Gaza. And he has no idea about Gaza. Talking about like his views on Gaza. And we're like, brother, you were just talking about the Lakers like 3 hours ago. Like, what do you know about Gaza? Stephen A. had been talking about LeBron's son for like a while. LeBron like confronted him at a game one time. And then ever since that, Stephen A's been on like 4 different podcasts, basically like, I thought it was a weak move, like coming up to me and whatnot. It's just this whole like embarrassing thing that we're all like rolling our eyes at. They just think he's crazy, just trying to create attention, you know, which is his job, I guess. He gets paid a lot of money to do that, so.
To do what?
To like create chaos, to create like controversy, like an argument. That's like his job, basically.
So he's like an investor?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Very much, whoever's buying my shit, I will sell you my bull. Which it's like Fox News sometimes.
Stephen A. Smith has been trying to posture himself as a political commentator. And he's been on Fox, on Hannity, on Chris Cuomo's show, and he's all over the place. And then the other day, he decided he was going to jump up on ESPN because of DEI stuff and openly challenge President Trump and J.D. Vance to a debate. And I'm thinking to myself, why would they debate you? I mean, you're a sportscaster, dude. And you're coming across as a squirrel who's trying to get a nut. We know that you want to climb the ladder. You just signed another $100+ million contract on ESPN. Salute. I have no problem with people making money, but he's trying to move over into the political realm and kind of straddle the fence. And I think you lose. No, you do lose when you stick up for this DEI crap. I'm done with it. Done. Let's take a listen.
I don't think it was an honest mistake at all. A matter of fact, I think that there's a few things, not many, not all, but there's a few things this present administration is not being honest about, and we have to call it like we see it. You know, there's this effort, this concerted effort to eradicate DEI, as we all know. And one of the things is you've seen me, Molly, talking about politics. This subject intertwines politics and sports. So if we want to go there, let's go there. You know, they want to eradicate DEI programs and what have you. And what I've said to folks, particularly on the side of the GOP, is very, very simple. It's not so much that you want to eradicate DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. I'll let somebody else argue on behalf of that. What I like to focus on is how dare you try to ignore the reason for its existence in the first place.
Anybody know what the reason for DEI is? Anybody ever decide that they want to know what the reason why they implemented DEI? What was it needed? Somehow you obtained a certain position in your career where you're getting paid $100 million. And you're getting paid $100 million because you have a certain proficiency, a certain merit. Somebody finds you have value. Didn't matter that you were black. Doesn't matter if you're white. Somebody said, you know what? This guy has an audience. He has been able to finagle his way in. For whatever reason, people like him in sports. And because you bring eyeballs, we're willing to pay you a whole lot of money. I got sponsors. I have sponsors that are willing to pay me. Not because of the melanin in my skin, but because they can look at numbers. hey, this might be worthwhile. Think we can do a deal with this guy? On a much smaller scale, it's the same thing. It's not about black or white. It doesn't matter. It's merit. It's performance. It's bringing it every single day, even when you can't talk because you're sick. There are no days off. Well, maybe sometimes. But the reason why you brought DEI wasn't for the reason that he's going to tell you why you bring DEI. Because equity, the middle letter in the DEI, equity and inclusion, you cannot be given equity. When you buy a house, you're not given equity. You earn equity. The house has to appreciate. When you buy stock, you're not given a guarantee that that stock is going to make you money. The equity in that stock is earned. Why didn't you call it diversity, earn, and inclusion? You didn't call it that because you wanted to make it seem as though people deserved equity. That's the problem.
Similar to civil rights legislation in 1964, similar to things like affirmative action, similar to things like the Rooney Rule in the National Football League, etc. How dare you try to get away with highlighting why it needed to exist in the first place? It was because of the inequities of folks in the United States of America, primarily the white power structure that exists. It is a fact. It is known.
I'm just checking, looking over there. I've got some books on the wall. I'm pretty sure there was a black president a few years ago. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a black president who served 2 terms. 2. Now I am not someone who's going to say that there was no racism. Obviously there was. But this is 2025. If you're still leaning on that crutch, thinking that I can't get ahead because it's the white man, or the white man is the boogeyman, and I got to keep leaning because I'm a poor black kid and I can't make it, when every single one of you watching this video right now, as I said, that black man is making $100 million over whatever length of his contract. LeBron James, Steph Curry, certain CEOs. Where is this inequity that you speak of? Who anywhere can't overcome, achieve, simply, and this is where it gets really important for me. Show me anybody who can't achieve simply because the color of their skin. Because I know you can't. There is no such thing as people not being able to achieve solely because the color of their skin. Now, if you say black kids didn't learn, black kids don't have fathers, black kids, then you're adding the variables that are causing the economic strife. You can't ignore the fact 70-80% of black children are born out of wedlock. There's some inequity. There's some serious inequity. You can direct that. Why is nobody talking about that? Hey man, we got a problem here. This entire group of 80% of black kids are growing up with no father. Let's look at that DEI. Let's put a black man there. Because if you put a black man there, you're going to help a lot of the other stuff. But nobody ever wants to talk about that. So if the kid coming out of the womb is already at a negative advantage because there's no dad. But no black person I've seen in terms of the people who want to talk about DEI ever talk about that. You see, that's inequity. I grew up and, there were two parent families and, my parents got divorced at a young age, but there was a dad there. Can you imagine a racial component in America where 80% of the babies born have no fathers in the home, And then you want to blame that on white people. That's why I got no patience.
About history, that it is a fact. They want to gloss over and erase the need for those things to take place to begin with. We were talking about the National Football League feeling compelled to insert a rule that mandated minorities actually get interviewed for jobs because they were.
So the Rooney Rule, and I went to college with one of the Rooneys. The NFL felt they had to do it because the players were complaining. Because the players were complaining that there weren't enough black coaches. Again, back then, the pool of coaches was based on, yes, good old boy network and availability. But nobody wants to talk about that. And now what's happening is worse. Having played football, I can tell you it's worse. Why? Because now they're checking a box. Hey, can you send me a couple black people to interview? I got to interview at least 2 or 3 black people so these people don't bother me. So just send them over. And yeah, you sound good. Yeah, it's great. Done. Where's another one? Bring it up. I already know who I'm going to hire. I've already cut my deal with this guy, but hey, sit down. So how you doing, man? Yeah, great. Yeah, had a great year this year. Thank you. The Rooney Rule is racism in reverse. It hurts black people. You're making me come into an office and have a meeting just solely so you can check a box. You know, all the rich people who own NFL teams at this point, one of the things, except for the guy who owns the Miami Dolphins, most owners want to win. So they're going to try and find who they think are the best people. They're not looking at this and going, you know what? I don't want the black coaches that might be better. Let me pick this white guy. Well, he sucks. That's all right if he sucks. I don't care if I lose. That doesn't matter. You think that's happening? See, this is nothing but brainwashing. This is just complete gaslighting on another scale in regards to sports.
Getting interviewed for jobs. And so now you see a movement clearly provoked by a lot of folks on the side of the GOP, and clearly this administration has bought into it hook, line, and sinker, where a concerted effort is being made to scrub history. We saw Governor DeSantis in Florida allude to this during his campaign, where he literally tried to bring up there were good components about slavery. This is some utterly ridiculous stuff. I don't give a damn what you think you can find for it.
Maybe you should not have taken that out of context. Maybe you should have dug deeper. Maybe you should have talked to Ron DeSantis. I live in Florida. I know what he was saying. But again, the hyperbole and what they want to produce for black people listening to this is worse than racism. It is to tell black people you can't be here because they don't want you there. I have been called the N-word, sometimes by some people who now today probably wish they never said it. But in any event, there's not a single time I've been called an N-word or anything like that where I felt like somebody restrained me from succeeding. Never. Never. Because that breeding of success is from here. It's here. And I would never, black, white, Hispanic, Martian, I don't care. You are not going to beat this out of me. I grew up and was taught as a very young child, you can do whatever you want. And I grew up when there was actually supposedly racism. And I learned it because, do you know why I learned it? Because I watched my Jamaican newly immigrant father open a construction company and get $1 million contracts back then. And I thought to myself, this bro can do it, I can do it. And the only reason I had that was because He did it. He was there. Even when they got divorced, I could see his name in the papers. First black man to make this kind of contract. First black man to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, he don't feel that way. He thinks he got it, and he knows he got it because he got it. And so I look at this stuff for the last 40 years, and I laugh at it because I'm like, do you know what my dad did back in 1966 and 68? And when I was just running around being a knucklehead, and I'm looking at his job sites and his trucks and everything else, back when racism was racism? Wow, I had someone to look at him. Well, he's successful. And his brother successful. And his other brother was successful. It's a whole black crew of people who were successful. And so it was never part of my psyche. It was never something I had to wonder, can I do it even though I'm black? No. You see, they bred that into society. They forced that into society. They let people think you need DEI because you didn't have dad at home to show you, oh, you can do whatever you want. Shame on people like Stephen A. Smith for not acknowledging that.
Involves rape, murder, mutilization, and other things like that. How dare you even try to find something positive about such heinous acts and actions that have taken place in this country's history? And so now we have an administration in place that has seemed to go on about the business of trying to scrub history to the point where you have Jackie Robinson, who integrated Major League Baseball, who served in the United States military and departed with honor. Okay, he was not dishonorably discharged. He was honorably discharged. This is an individual, Molly, I'm reading from here right now, where we're talking about a guy that joined the 761st Tank Battalion, known as the Black Panthers, drafted into military service in 1942, was court-martialed in July of 1944 after refusing an order by a driver to move to the back of an Army bus he had boarded. Yet and still, we see on the website for the Pentagon yesterday, page not found for a vast majority of the day before it was reinstated. And nobody...
Whoa. Before it was reinstated. Maybe you should have led with that. Maybe somebody made a mistake. In fact, you had a little thing up there that said, was it an honest mistake? You haven't even taken the time, because you haven't talked to anybody, to understand that it was a mistake. So they rectified it. They put it back, but that's not good enough. That's not good enough. You erased Jackie Robinson. The fact that you even made that mistake shows you're indicative of a problem. We put it back. Sorry. It was a mistake. Nope, not good enough. You're racist. Okay, thank you very much. I'm a racist. That's what it is now, even though I admitted to it being an honest mistake. You ever make mistakes, Stephen? I don't know.
Everybody is calling out the president, Donald Trump. I will. And I'm not going to call him names and all of this stuff like stupid folks on the left doing, engaging in incendiary rhetoric. It's unnecessary, it's immature, and it's uncalled for. He's the president of the United States. Treat him with the respect that he deserves, but in the same breath, call him to the carpet for stuff that he's doing. This is the same Donald Trump that looked at folks during the campaign in 2015 and 2024. And he said, what do you got to lose? Okay? Well, guess what? He won the popular vote.
Yes. What do you got to lose? Why in the hell would anybody have a problem with that? Hey, man, look what you got to lose. Why would anybody have a problem with that? Hey, these people from time immemorial have been promised you see you the world, and look where you're still sitting on the stoop here at the barbershop. What do you got to lose? Why is that a bad thing?
He won the Electoral College vote. He won every swing state, okay? And in the process, his numbers improved from 2020 to 2024 with young blacks, young Hispanics, okay, and with blacks, Hispanics, and young voters overall. You're forgetting about those people now that you're in office, President Trump? They don't matter now? History doesn't matter. The iniquities of this country didn't matter.
You see, that's what he's trying to do. Some of you guys are like, why are we listening to him? Because it's important. Here's why it's important. President Trump did something no Republican has ever done. President Trump has done something no white candidate has ever done. They understand in order for them to win again, they have to find a way to chop that away. You, as a Trump supporter, can't look the other way and say this guy's an idiot. No, you need to combat it. Hey, highest employment of black people ever. Ooh. So, okay. I don't mean any disrespect, Stephen, but Jackie Robinson being omitted from something, by your own admission, that was 1942. It's 2025. Okay, they made that up. But I'm pretty sure there's been nothing that says black people can't get a job. I'm pretty sure all of this stuff has nothing to do with black people being able to get groceries at cheaper prices. No, you're trying, and this is what the left is trying to do. This is why it's really important for you to understand. They're trying to let black people know because they got shellacked. They're trying to get black people to now start thinking, oh, he didn't mean it. He's really a racist. It's insidious. And if you don't see what's happening, you can't combat it. I need you, as a white person, as a Hispanic, as a black, to recognize the psyop that's happening. So when you say, why are we listening to him? You have to understand at this point, if you watch my videos, there's a motive. There's a reason why I put it on. And the reason this one is on at this point is for you to see all the different things they're trying to do now to change people's minds. It is warfare at its essence. It is the Mockingbird media. They're doing everything. Watch the little thing here. We need to make you move away from Trump. You, as a Trump supporter, if you want to see this country progress and succeed, need to be able to explain this to people. That's why I went into the fact of, hey, there's 80% of black kids that don't have no dads at home, but nobody's addressing that DEI. It's pretty simple.
The insidious behavior and actions from an historical perspective, we want to ignore all of that? It doesn't go down like that. You know, many people on the left, and I'm disgusted with them and what they've done. They lost this election, okay? And they have nobody but themselves to blame because they prioritized things they didn't need to prioritize. But even in the midst of saying all of that, one has to acknowledge that when you look at the actions of this administration and you're talking about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and you're equating that with black people, and you're using words like unqualified. Remember, he blamed DEI when a plane crashed, in the immediate aftermath of the plane crash in D.C., colliding with the helicopter, where lives were lost. The first words that came out of President Trump's mouth was DEI. What evidence do you have, President Trump? He had none. Admitted he had none, but still.
So, Stephen, you've gone on for like 5 minutes. What exactly are the benefits of DEI? Why do we need DEI? Democrats won't tell you that. They just mouth off about DEI. Oh, he's trying to remove DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, how? How would you, in 2025, remove diversity and inclusion? You can't. Because if someone is worth their mettle, METTLE, if they're worth their mettle, they are going to rise. The competitiveness of the workplace is no longer like it was in 1965. People have to answer to stockholders. People want to make money. As long as people want to make money, you're going to hire the best. Now, the equity part, that's a losing conversation. And that's the conversation that they really mean. They want to take what's yours and give it to somebody else, which is what Kamala Harris said. But nobody wants to call these people out for what they're saying. You don't get equity. You earn equity. It's that simple.
It lent itself to DEI. Pete Hegseth is the head of the Defense Department. He has served our country with honor. I am not trying to knock him or denigrate him in any way. We got to root for our elected politicians or the people that they assign to departments and wish them nothing but the best in America's best interest. But the fact of the matter is, how is he not DEI? He was a soldier, and then he was a host on Fox News on the weekends. And he goes from that to being the head of a Defense Department that oversees more than 3.5 million people. How in the hell do you go from being a weekend host to being the head of over 3.5 million people for the
He obviously hasn't turned around, or somewhere in his office, I don't know, doesn't have a picture of Obama somewhere. You would think, and see, Democrats only exist because they have very short memories. How did Obama become president? What were Obama's qualifications for being a president? You want to explain that one to me? Obama was a community organizer. It's the only job people could ever find. He was a community organizer. Then he was a state senator in Illinois. And then he became president. Now, you just mentioned that Pete Hegseth is in charge of 3 million employees, but you didn't mention that Barack Obama, with no experience, none, not even, he didn't even fight any wars, none, became commander-in-chief of that very same army that you're saying that Pete Hegseth is not qualified to be in. Let me take it a step further. Kamala Harris was a prosecutor and then a senator. But you were okay with her possibly being the commander-in-chief of the biggest army that we have, the same numbers that you said Pete Hegseth isn't qualified for. Y'all don't make any sense. And unless there's people to call you out on this, it just gets said to black people all over the place when it doesn't matter. If somebody is put in this position, whether it's by election or by appointment, would you have rather somebody said that about Obama? Hey, he's not qualified. He can't win the election. Let's not count his votes. I'm pretty sure in the next election, AOC or somebody like that is going to be put out as a potential. Not going to say it then. You're not going to say this person's not qualified. I'm tired of the bull crap. I'm tired of it.
Defense Department of the United States. He happens to be white, and we don't mention DEI when it comes to him. Why not? The biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action and DEI, some would argue, are white women. How come we don't mention that? Why is it always attached to black people? This is the kind of stuff that we're asking ourselves. And on a day like today, it gives us more credence to ask that question because of what happened with Jackie Robinson, who served in our military, drafted, served our country, and for hours upon hours in a day, this stuff was scrubbed, and we're supposed to believe that's accidental. We were born at night, Molly, some of us anyway, not last night.
I'm sure you'll
not
have...
last night.
Okay. What you see lining up is for 2026. What you see is James Clyburn out there talking about Jim Crow. The Democrats will never move beyond race. The Democrats will always focus on poor people and race. That's it. That's their entirety of their existence. They do not succeed as a political party without stealing your money and then counting on poor people and black people.